everybody jump on board to donate whatever you can to help us. We don't know what child, what mother, what father, whomever is at their door needing help.
To introduce to those that are residents of St. Louis City and Malone board members, our Mayor Cara Spencer.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Alderwoman Boyd. And it's a great honor to join you here tonight in support of Annie Malone. Of course, in the work that the Annie Malone Foundation and the organization does for our community cannot be overstated. Keisha, your leadership has been phenomenal, and we are so grateful to be supportive as a city. The legacy here of the Annie Malone is just something that is deeply rooted into the history of St. Louis, and as mayor, I could not be more thrilled to support you, the organization, and the work that you do for our entire community.
Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for being here. I especially want to thank our Lieutenant Governor Wasinger and his wife, Ms. Colleen, here for being here today. I know you guys have to skedaddle, so I'm going to be very brief and bring you on stage to say a few words. I can't be more ecstatic that you're here. I know you're a Missourian to the heart, grew up right in Hannibal. I really enjoy the fact that you put children first and families first and have that in the forethought of what you do and that continue that main street of making just the city, the state better. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. You know, my wife does not come to many functions, but when she heard about Annie Malone, you guys have such a great reputation. So our second lady of Missouri. And I'll tell you, so we're in John. I'll be heading to Jeff City in the morning, but I'll tell you, we've got a lot of great things going on in the city of St. Louis. We may have made a big step up with our mayor, Cara Spencer. So thank you, Mayor. Everybody I talked to, including Governor Kehoe, has mentioned you've been a very, very responsive and a great partner to deal with. And my wife and I live in St. Louis, so this is in our backyard. And we have an unusual one. Governor Kehoe he grew up in St. Louis. I'm from Hannibal originally, but I married some young lady from St. Louis, so that brought me here. And then we have a new Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway, who also lives in St. Louis. So there's a pretty big presence in Jeff City, which is unusual. So you've got some real advocates in St. Louis. But we're here to help. I think Annie Malone has a fantastic reputation. I think Mayor Spencer said it well. I mean, if you're getting my wife out for something, you must have a great reputation. So we're here for you. If you're in Jeff City, please come by and visit us. We're here to serve. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So we want to present them with these gifts, these gift baskets.
Wow.
She's right there. Oh my goodness.
We don't need to. Well, they're different. They're different.
Yeah, well, specifically curated for you.
One's for girls.
I'll be fat and sassy. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for everything you do.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys are too kind.
You know, when we talk about Annie Malone, so when my wife Lynn and I met, my wife worked at a children's home. So she worked 1 week on, 1 week off at a children's home for young women. And she has a passion for that. And then when we got married, she worked with children and adults who are chemically addicted. And we did that. And then when we moved, she worked with children on reading. And as I began to look at the passion this organization has, I then began to study the namesake. And heroes are incredibly important in this world. Having people that we can look to and say, that person looks like me, that person has the passion of me, and people like us do things like this, is an incredible gift that we give to people these days. Whether it's young women and men, whether it's people who just feel down and out, whether it's those of us that just need heroes in a time or right now, there's a lot of tension in the world. But it's also critically important that we celebrate entrepreneurs. We celebrate men and women who build businesses. You know, at Greater St. Louis Inc., we believe the greatest force for change is a job. Doesn't just change today, puts a little money in your pocket. Doesn't just change tomorrow, it lets you buy a house. but it changes your future. It changes the future of your children. It says we have a better world because I have a job. It's not just me saying that. About a year ago, Harvard came out with a study that said the number one indicator of a child escaping poverty was that someone in their home or directly related to them had a good paying job. It's a pretty simple bar to overcome. But we only do it at the grassroots. We only do it by changing the opportunities that families have. We only do it by providing services and care so we know parents can accelerate. We only do it by investing in education. We only do it if we do it together. So I can't be more grateful for allowing me to be here tonight to celebrate with you the great work of one of America's first African-American millionaires, female millionaires, but also celebrate the work of legacy. And celebrate the work that says people like us do things like that. God bless. Thanks for that.
My love story in this with this whole program was I met a young man and he looked at me and he said, "You are the father. You represent the father that I never had. We're working on a floor and we're putting something together," and he looked at me and said that to me, and that changed my perspective on the work that we do, because some of these kids will never see what it looks like to be the representation of what a father looks like. And we as board members, we as people in the community, we have an opportunity to show people, these children, who they can be. And a lot of times they just need to see somebody that looks like them, that speaks like them, that also understands what they've gone through. So I want to introduce someone to you, and that's Keisha Lee. She's going to speak to your hearts. I'll tell you all.
It's funny, when I introduce myself as CEO of Annie Malone, I still just see myself, I'm just Keisha Lee. I'm just Twan's little sister or Brenda's daughter. But the responsibility of being CEO is something that I do not take lightly. And when I took on this role, I was excited. But there was three things that I learned along the way that I do intentionally. And the first thing is advocate. Advocate. And I'm going to tell you how I advocate. We had a little girl at Crisis, and somehow she missed the bus. And when I got over there to do something, I don't know, she was upset. And she was like, "Miss Keisha, I worked on my behavior all week so I could go on this field trip." And let me tell you, I was like, okay, we're going to get her to this field trip. I called the school. We were trying to figure out where the bus was to make sure we meet them out at Sky Zone and all that, because in that moment, she was my baby. I had another situation where we had a little boy who was pulling his eyebrows out because he was being bullied. He didn't have a mother, a father. He was in our care. So me, being a mama bear, I went to the school. And we had to talk to the principal, the counselor, and I also wanted to talk to the other little kids' parents, because in that moment, that was my baby. And that's how I have to advocate. Point 2, I learned to be reachable. You have to be reachable and listen. When I'm out in the community, when we're doing our big family fest, and I'm out there and we all line dancing and we're talking and I'm dancing with little kids or something, it's that connection of being reachable. When I see people that come in those doors that I went to high school with or something and they drop their head, and I'm like, no, lift your head up, because I could be in that same situation tomorrow. You have to be reachable. When we're going down that May parade and everybody's waving, it's that connection with them little kids that's out there like, this is their first parade. You have to be reachable. I had being reachable, I'll tell you this. There was a woman who came up to one of the festivals and she didn't speak very well. And I found out she was delayed. So then I had to ask her child some questions, but then her child was delayed. So you know what we did? We went and found a school counselor that was there that had experience with people with developmental disabilities, and we were able to get them something to eat and everything else. That's about being reachable. That's about not turning away. And my third thing is being present and being there, because that's key. You can be reachable, but are you there? Are you present? And let me tell you about being present and being there. We had a little boy that was dropped off to us, and he was bleeding where he shouldn't be bleeding. A baby boy. You know how heartbreaking that is? To have to go up there and explain, and help this child understand what took place, and try to reprogram and treat this child that has this terrible trauma. I had a brother and a sister that came to us that had been sleeping in a kennel and fed feces and urine. Do you know how hard that is to break? At first, they were eating the food and it was fine. Then they started hiding food. And I was like, you don't have to hide food. You can have as much as you want. Then they retreated back to wanting feces and urine again. Have to break that. But knowing that, that's being there, that's being present and not giving up. Had one young man, he was schizophrenic. Could not be in a room with anybody else or nothing. This same young man has ridden in my car in the backseat with no problems. You know why? Because we knew him so well that we knew when he started to change clothes often throughout the day, come here, something's going on. I could tell the meds need to be reallocated or something, but that's about being present and being there. And you have to do this kind of work when you're present and there. You know, 2 years ago, we were getting ready for the May Day parade, and we had this big mandatory meeting, and we're out there with donuts, and we get ready to talk. A woman drove up on the campus real quick, and she's like, hey, I need some help. I'm trying to get away from, and I got these kids. I said, Chloe, come here. Get the babies, get her, take them inside. So we out there continuing this, and my team is inside helping this woman. And everybody else don't know what's going on. That's about being present and being there. We had a woman that had 10 kids that was sleeping in her car. She had the patience of Job, I promise you, 10 kids. But she had a Section 8 voucher that said she could move into an 8-bedroom house. There's no 8-bedroom mansions on Section 8. We were putting her in hotels to try to find her somewhere to stay, but she kept getting kicked out because she was over capacity with the kids. Then we finally was able to work with the social service office and everything else and get her somewhere to stay. And then someone said, why don't you just stop having kids? And I said, what if that's the only thing she know how to do best? She feel like that's the only thing she does best. It's about how you talk to people.
We are standing here with Alderwoman Pam Boyd, and we're at a meeting for Annie Malone. Can you tell us tell us about the meeting tonight first?
So it's really a capital campaign kickoff. And so myself and the executive committee of the board has been working on this for about 1.5 years to focus on the mansion, because we know that we cannot get any grant funding in regards to sustain or stabilize that mansion. When I got on the board, I had already asked about the disrepair of the mansion and how obsolete it was. And so we've been working with our lobbyists, and we came today to bring it to reality, to start working on how we're going to start rebuilding and sustain that mansion.
So for the first at home, can you tell? So you're an alderwoman for which ward?
So I'm the alderperson for the 13th ward. So our page site is in my ward, but the site on Annie Malone Drive, that's in the 12th ward. That's in the Ville neighborhood.
Why is the Annie Malone home so important for the community?
Because it's, one, is history, and then two, we are the anchor to help the people that's in need of that community and this city. And so we not only do the city, we do the county also. And that's where people don't understand. We do county areas, we do down in the boot hills, we're servicing people. So we're trying to make sure that our kids stay out of the system and we don't bury any more of our kids. And we make sure they're viable citizens and have jobs. So we have programs where they have graduated from high school, they go into service, they go to college, they getting jobs, and so they're able to give back.
So can you tell us how to give, how the community can get involved? How can we see the site? How can we donate?
And so they can go on our site, the www.anniemalone.org site, and it hit the capital campaign link, and they can give to our campaign to help restore our building.
Well, folks, we are here with Alderwoman Pam Boyd. We appreciate it. Hey, folks, let's get involved with the Annie Malone Capital Campaign.
Thank you.